Well, absolutely right, Alicia, and a happy Heritage Day to you as well. I can tell you that I'm sitting in what can only be described as a very, very secure bubble here at the United Nations in New York. If you are not accredited to the United Nations, if you're not part of the diplomatic delegation, and if you don't live across the street, you probably won't be able to get even close. I know a lot of tourists come to New York around this time, and one of their stops tends to be the United Nations. They can forget about getting any closer than 2nd or 3rd Avenue because that is the level of security. Of course, the Pope will speak here in a historic address to the General Assembly tomorrow, and he will also focus, he will sort of spearhead the SDG summit, focusing on issues, as mentioned in that piece from Zimbabwe, on quality education, on climate change action, and really on changing the paradigm this world has become used to. I mean, the goals are quite bold, Alicia. Things like ending poverty by 2030, equal gender equality by 2030, quality education for all, as was mentioned in that Zimbabwe piece. So really very bold initiatives. It's all systems go here in New York.
Sherwin, look, President Jacob Zuma is, of course, leading the South African delegation. What can we expect from South Africa? I mean, President Zuma in Parliament recently mentioned that South Africa will be in support of outcomes only that will be supporting developing countries.
Well, the SDG outcome document is there for everyone to see already. This is merely an official gathering to endorse what has already been decided. Remember, these negotiations have been ongoing for 3.5 years. And when the heads of state gather, similar to the climate change negotiations as they'll gather in Paris later this year, when the heads of state come together, it's basically to endorse an agreement that is already set in stone. So we have 17 goals that have been approved, a variety of issues. I mean, 17 goals from no poverty by 2030, zero hunger, life, looking after our oceans, life below water, climate action, affordable and clean energy for all. So all those goals will merely be endorsed by the heads of state here. But there are other things on President Zuma's agenda, and I always use the reference, when in Rome, talk about Security Council reform. That is one of the top issues, certainly for developing countries who make up a majority of the UN General Assembly. So that is going to be on the agenda of a lot of heads of state country statements when they talk come Monday at the 70th anniversary of the heads of state segment of the General Assembly. And this is really also an opportunity for bilateral discussions. Everyone is in town, from President Obama, Russia's President Vladimir Putin, who hasn't addressed the UN General Assembly as President of Russia for many, many years. China's Xi Jinping is going to be here. So all the major BRICS powers will be represented. And then a number of high-level meetings. The question of South Sudan will be discussed at the high-level meeting. There's a special meeting convened by President Obama on peacekeeping. Remember, there is a huge undertaking at the UN right now to look at the effectiveness and the funding of peacekeeping. The question of migration is going to be a big issue here. So everything will be on the agenda for the heads of state when they gather here from Friday.
All right. Well, you've touched on everything there, Sherwin. But I really wanted to know if the issue of South Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir, is he going to attend the summit? What's going to happen on that issue?
Well, he's the Sudanese president. Salva Kiir is the South Sudanese president, and we're not sure that he's going to be attending all South Sudan's meetings either. But I can tell you, my understanding is President Omar al-Bashir will not be coming to the UN General Assembly. I think there are too many issues around citizen arrests in the United States. You know, a lot of people, there are a lot of activists, and many protests were planned around his visit. Of course, he's an ICC indictee, and there's a warrant out for his arrest. So I think it was going to create too much heat with him being in the same venue with, the likes of President Barack Obama, and that was going to cast a dark cloud around events here. So my understanding is the Sudanese delegation will be led by the foreign minister.
Sherwin, once again, happy Heritage Day to you, and stay secure in your UN conference, and let's hope you have fun. They will talk to you tomorrow. That's Sherwin Bryce-Pease. He was live to us from New York, giving us, of course, the great news in terms of preparations for the UN 70th anniversary, which takes place tomorrow alongside the SDG summit.